How's it going, everyone? Welcome to a new video. I am the one and only 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝘍, and in today's video, I'm going to continue the how to fix a certain league mechanic idea type discussions, and I wanted to talk about Legion League. Now, Legion is a slightly more recent, but still somewhat older. I believe this was 3.7, so it's still over 3 years old now. It is very much a simple league mechanic that was pretty well received overall. I mean, it's you click the crystal and you get to fight the two sides of the armies and you get to do all these other things and you get splinters to do other things. But how could that be oops, sorry, hit the mic. How could that be improved upon, and how could they make Legion a more interesting modern league mechanic? Well, we're going to talk about that in this video. If you're new here, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I'd really love for you to all, subscribe and help the channel grow. And without further ado, let's talk about how could they improve Legion League and make it into a more interesting and just more overall fun mechanic in my mind. So, for starters, I've got the trailer playing in the background so you can kind of see how it works, but it can be a little confusing if you've never touched Legion before. So you walk up, as you can see there in the background, you click the pylon, and it activates two opposing sides. You have 2 of 5 possible armies, and they're all based off of story lore. So you've got the 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝙍, the 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝙍, the Templar, the I forgot what the sand people. What are they? What are they called? I don't remember. I forgot them. They're the sand desert people, and then there is the Timeless Legion, which I forget exactly what those are as well. There's 5 total. Anyway, don't worry about it. Anyway, so whenever you click the pylon, it activates 2 of those 5. You have to go out and you basically have to shatter these frozen in crystal soldiers. And there's also chests around that you also have to do damage to. You have to break them out by doing enough damage to them. And then once you do, after, it varies based off what tier of map you're in and stuff, but it's like 15 to 30 seconds of breaking these things out. And then as you can see, you have to fight them, and some of them have icons over their heads. They're basically chests, but they're like actual enemies. And yeah, so it's just kind of, it's all right. And then the other part of the mechanic is where you have killed enough of the enemies of a particular type, you get to make a stone. You need 100 shards, and you get a timeless stone of that particular type. You get a timeless emblem of that type. So, you can get a 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝙍 emblem and a 𝙀𝙓𝙋 emblem. And then what you do, you take them into your map device and you put them in there, and then it sends you to the domain of timeless conflict, which is this like area it's kind of showing there briefly at the beginning of the trailer as it was looping. But it's just a like dark gray sand area, and you basically just fight those 2 if you only put in 2. Now, if you do 4 of them at a time, you can unlock the 5-slot map device and so on. Then you can do all 5 at once and do what, when people say a 5-way legion, that's what they're talking about. If you're doing a 5-way legion, you've gotten 100 of each of them through trading or through just a lot of grinding, and you get to go into the domain of timeless conflict, and if you can do enough damage, you get to do it all, and it's fairly rewarding. But all that said, that's just me describing how the mechanic works. Sorry about that. That took a lot longer than I meant it to. How would I actually fix Legion? I should have said that at the beginning, but let's talk about why I feel that this mechanic needs a little bit of love. It's not very interesting. It's kind of similar to a breach type deal. I don't know about, everybody else, but myself personally, I'm not a huge fan of go out, gather 100 splinters, or, like Delirium, gather 300 splinters, and then you get to go into this encounter. I'm just not a big fan of that. I think one way that I would do it, I would still leave those in there just for the sake of letting people still have that to work towards. But what I would also do is I would have a thing on the Atlas device, or the, I'm sorry, the Atlas passive tree that would give you a chance to just open a portal to the domain of timeless conflict between those two armies. And then you can have another node that says, increased chance for additional spawns, so that when you're doing a legion, there's a chance that you just get to go into the domain of timeless conflict. You're not having to just sit there and grind splinter after splinter after splinter after splinter and hope beyond hope that you can get something to happen that is interesting. You get to actually engage with the real loot of the mechanic, which is, doing the stuff in the domain of timeless conflict. And again, you're not splinter grinding for, 5,000 hours to hopefully try and get a 5-way legion. Like, it's kind of frustrating. And I think it could be modernized pretty well. They could also have some things where there's a chance that the legion generals just break out and start fighting you together or something during the legion. Or they could have, there's a bunch of options because of the Atlas passive tree. They have a difficulty lever that they can literally pull at any time. They can put a bunch of different nodes added in there so that if people want to spec specifically into one mechanic only, they can absolutely do that. And I think they should definitely lean more into that. Put, 8, 9 notables for each thing. And then obviously you're not going to have to pick just one mechanic, but you can incentivize it while still allowing for a general tree or an extremely focused tree. And I think that would be a way to deal with what I'm talking about, making these improvements without having to actually fully redesign the mechanic. But yeah, I would say probably make it where you can get random portal spawns for the domain of timeless conflict, where it's just randomly, 2s, 3s. I would say don't let more than 3 happen random spawn. You still want it to be incentivized for people to make their own 4-way and their own 5-way legions. But I would say up to a 3-way should be able to randomly spawn when you're doing legion mechanics if you spec a certain Atlas passive node. I think that would be really, really fun and interesting and a great way to still allow people to engage there in the domain of timeless conflict. I think it would be fantastic, a great way to spice it up a little bit. And just in general, continue looking at the state of Legion and just know, okay, well, hey, these certain areas are still kind of wonky when they spawn in a Legion. Maybe touch up, take a another pass over each map tile set, and if a Legion monolith spawns next to something, is it going to properly work? I mean, they really should take a look at that, because sometimes you just hit a Legion and you get like 12 mobs. You don't see any mobs, or they appeared, in another room like 3 tiles away, and you're just like, oh well, I would not have been able to get there anyway in time to actually do anything. So yeah, I think Legion is showing its age, but it's still better than some of the previously talked about ones. And I think with some simple improvements, Legion could absolutely still, just come back into the highlights and just come back into a very possible and enjoyable in-game league mechanic. And I think they should absolutely take a look at it. That's just my opinion. That's how I feel about it. And yeah, let me know down below, what do you think they could do to improve Legion? I really have these thoughts in my mind where I'm like, how could they improve each of these league mechanics? If I was the guy who was told, hey, fix Legion, how would I actually do it? And I want to hear from y'all. Let me know down below, what do you think they could do to fix Legion? And again, if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd really love to see some channel growth. And yeah, I will try to make a new video for you all tomorrow. And I hope you have a great day.